In summer 2021, an apparently long-simmering feud between American Picker stars Michael Wolfe and Frank Fritz went public. Here's what we know about the rift in their relationship leading up to Fritz's tragic death on September 30th, 2024. In retrospect, signs of an American Picker schism were present way back in the spring of 2020. At first, season 21 of the series kept up with the show's tried and true format of Michael Wolfe and Frank Fritz traveling around the US, looking for treasure, finding that treasure, assessing and acquiring that treasure, and moving on to the next stop.
Would you sell this?
I got the right number.
But the 13th episode, Burlesque Queen, in which Mike and Frank head to Kansas City, marked what was for all intents and purposes the end of Fritz's tenure on the show. The episode first aired on March 2nd, 2020, but by the following episode, Fritz was gone, never to return. Due to pandemic lockdowns and restrictions on TV productions, season 22 of American Pickers didn't hit the air until January 2021, nearly a year after Fritz disappeared from the show. With Fritz replaced, Road fans realized he might be gone for good. Finally, in July 2021, Fritz broke his silence. According to an interview with The Sun, Fritz claimed he didn't leave American Pickers, but rather ceased to participate in the new batch of episodes. Those two things sound like they're the same, but they're ever so slightly different. As Fritz explained, "It's up to the network whether I come back on the show. I didn't leave the show. I finished shooting, and then I had a little back surgery and the pandemic came."
In the collecting world these days, if we don't get young people interested in that aspect, it's not going to be around.
Fritz couldn't shoot in 2020 and 2021 because he was recuperating from back surgery. He also suffers from Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammatory condition that affects the digestive system, and lost more than 65 pounds, which he attributed to exercising more and quitting alcohol, saying, "I haven't had a drink in almost 9-10 months." Fritz told The Sun that his falling out with Wolfe, whom he's known for more than 40 years, began very quietly, admitting, "I haven't talked to Mike in 2 years." According to Fritz, despite their decades of friendship and their professional partnership, Wolfe basically ghosted him around the time of his back surgery. Fritz claimed, "He knew my back was messed up, but he didn't call me up and ask how I was doing. That's just how it is."
I've always been the one with a bad back, so it's ironic that Frank is the one that ends up having back surgery.
This seemed to make other dormant issues bubble up for Fritz, particularly his disagreement with Wolfe over the presentation and production of American Pickers. Fritz alleged, "The show is tilted towards him 1000%. I can't even bend that far down to show you how much."
I'm keeping an open mind.
Hurry and say it before he closes it.
But despite calling out Wolfe and other members of the American Pickers team by association, Fritz claimed to accept his role on the show, saying, "It's like you've got Aerosmith and there's Steven Tyler and he's the frontman. I found my spot. I'm second and he's number one on the show. That's no problem with me. Maybe he does have a problem." On July 21st, 2021, a representative from the History Channel told Entertainment Weekly that Fritz's long tenure on American Pickers had indeed come to an end. The rep explained Fritz didn't fit in with the, quote, "big picture of the franchise." That's when Wolfe finally weighed in on Fritz's absence, releasing a statement that read, "I have known Frank for as long as I can remember. He's been like a brother to me. The journey that Frank, Dani, and I started back in 2009, like all of life, has come with its highs and lows, blessings and challenges, but it has also been the most rewarding. I will miss Frank, just like all of you, and I pray for the very best and all good things for him on the next part of his journey." While Wolfe's statement was brief, polite, and professional, Danielle Colby, the third American Pickers cast member, expressed her own feelings about the backstage drama on Instagram, and she clearly picked a side. The post featured a pic of her with Wolfe with a caption reading, in part, "Things could have been different, but we must be accountable for our actions when we cause instability or pain and suffering to others. Frank caused so much pain for himself that it has been hard to watch."
They let you drive?
Yeah, they let me drive.
Colby may have been alluding to Fritz's alcohol issues or some other very personal things the general public has not yet heard about. On August 4th, 2021, Fritz sat down for another tough interview with The Sun in response to his former partner's well wishes in no uncertain terms, saying, "Mike's statement was somebody wrote it out for him. I don't believe in 10 years he said 5 nice things to me, you know? Unless he was cutting somebody else down and we were both laughing." Wolfe didn't respond to Fritz's accusations, leaving the relationship at an impasse. But Fritz wasn't ready to walk away from his reality TV career, claiming, "Thousands of people want me back. They've got a petition to get me back on the show. I could go either way and find a new show, have something new, and have just as much fun." In addition to his recovery from back surgery, which involved the placement of 2 rods into his spine, Fritz spent his time away from American Pickers addressing his addiction. He checked into the Abbey Center, a treatment facility in Bettendorf, Iowa, where he spent 77 days trying to kick his addiction to alcohol. Fritz shared, "I didn't like drinking anymore. My mom was an alcoholic and she died 5 years ago, and it was alcohol related. My grandfather was an alcoholic and he died. That didn't sit well with me." He added that during his time in rehab, he was kept busy all day, every day, and read a dozen self-help books, revealing, "I really got into it. I went there to learn and get the most of it that I possibly could." At the time of that interview, Fritz had been sober for nearly a year and was attending counseling meetings twice a week, but admitted that he wanted to return to American Pickers.
I've got a Kawasaki out back that I made out of a cow and a Kawasaki.
All right.
Fritz confessed, "I miss my friends and my people and being on the road and meeting all those different characters." A subject of Fritz's alcoholism remains sensitive for the people in his orbit, particularly Wolfe, who made comments to The Sun in August 2021, implying that he didn't think Fritz was ready to return to American Pickers by saying, "We all do care about Frank and we want him back on the show, but he just can't get it right." But what exactly was he referring to? Wolfe implied that he couldn't speak to any progress Fritz had made in getting his alcohol issues under control, but said that he would, quote, "love to talk to him again after having not done so for about 2 years. Wolfe added, "Frank is just going through a lot personally with addictions. It's unfortunate that he's made decisions that have him the way he is." In July 2022, Fritz was found unresponsive at his home in Davenport, Iowa, having suffered a serious stroke. After being hospitalized for a month, Fritz was moved into a residential rehab facility to begin a prolonged and arduous recovery. According to The Sun, Fritz's healthcare expenses were so substantial, amount to around $23,000 a month, and his functions were so diminished by the stroke that the court appointed a temporary guardian and financial conservator to oversee Fritz's affairs. In light of Fritz's health situation, Wolfe put their squabbles aside, talking to Instagram to say, "There has been lots of opinions in regard to mine and Frank's friendship and the show, but now is not the time to set the record straight. Now is the time to pray for my friend. Frank, I pray more than anything that you make it through this okay. I love you, buddy."
I'm just glad we're on the road together, dude. You know, I mean, in the words of the famous Charlie Feathers, me got what me want when me got you.
In February 2023, with Fritz still recovering, Wolfe implied that he was reluctant to continue American Pickers without his longtime co-star, posting, "Nothing will ever replace Frank. We miss him, very much like y'all do." While roaming the country with Wolfe, Fritz was dealing with back surgery, Crohn's disease, and alcohol issues. But there were even more problems going on behind the scenes. This included the tumultuous breakup of his relationship with his former fiancée, Diane Bankston. Fritz and Bankston, who got engaged in 2018 but split after several years, had accused each other of infidelity. Meanwhile, in January 2020, Fritz's ex sued him, alleging that he'd been negligent with fireworks. According to Bankston, the incident in question left her with third-degree burns and burnt off eyebrows and eyelashes. She further alleged that Fritz refused to take her to the hospital afterward. Though she dropped the suit in March of that same year, Fritz's legal troubles couldn't have helped his chances of being hired back by the network. After years of feuding behind the scenes and sometimes out in public, in 2023 it seemed like Fritz and Wolfe had buried the hatchet. While Fritz never again appeared on American Pickers after his last episode in 2020, the Pickers finally reunited over Memorial Day weekend in 2023. The Quad City Times quoted an anonymous friend of Fritz's, who said, "Mike has been wanting to see Frank for quite some time. Frank just now felt up to seeing him. It was Frank's request to see Mike." They reportedly spent their reunion catching up and reliving old times, and spoke about one of their first major talk show appearances on The Late Show with David Letterman back in 2011. The source said that Fritz was still recovering from his stroke and that emotions were running high. She said that both men were in tears at their reunion and that Wolfe told his former co-host, "Nobody can replace you, Frank." Fritz's friend even dangled the possibility of a Pickers reunion on TV, saying, "Mike's really stressed all the good times they had before the show and during the show. Mike did say he'd like Frank back on the show, but Frank is focused on his health."
Okay, you can start giving me advice on food when you stop eating at Golden Corral for Thanksgiving.
Unfortunately, it was not meant to be. Fritz and Wolfe's long story came to a tragic end on October 1st, 2024, when Wolfe revealed on his official Instagram account that Fritz had died on September 30th at age 60. Wolfe wrote, "I've known Frank for more than half my life, and what you've seen on TV has always been what I have seen. A dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny, the same off-camera as he was on. Frank had a way of reaching the hearts of so many by just being himself." Colby also paid heartfelt tribute to her former co-star on her Instagram, including memories of their discussions about about tattoos and Fritz's sense of humor, writing, "Frank, you loved your cat and your mama, and we bonded on those things. You will be missed for all of these reasons and so many more. Rest in peace, Road Dogg." The fact that Wolfe was the one who broke the news of Fritz's death seems to confirm that whatever their relationship was before and after Fritz's departure from American Pickers, they were quite a bit closer than that at the time of his passing. While Fritz's death at such a relatively young age is tragic, at least it seems that he and Wolfe managed to patch things up before it was too late. If you or someone you know needs help with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website or contact SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP 4357.